Abortion is a medical procedure. It is not a crime.
We have a president who's made it very, very clear that he wants to overturn Roe v. Wade. Today, here in New York, we are saying no.
Abortion is a medical procedure, not a crime. Then when is it a crime? It's a crime when a baby, yes, baby, is born and left to die. This is not abortion. It's infanticide, the killing of small human beings. A president that's made it very clear that he wants to overturn Roe v. Wade. As a Brit, I'm not familiar with this case, so I did a Google search. Roe v. Wade, legal case in which the US Supreme Court on January the 22nd, 1973 ruled 7-2 that unduly restrictive state regulation of abortion is unconstitutional. With regard to the fetus, the court located that point at capability of meaningful life outside the mother's womb, or viability. I find the last sentence actually makes sense. It says to me there is a difference between a fetus and an unborn child. A fetus cannot be capable of meaningful life outside a mother's womb. However, an unborn child can. So, where is the line drawn between viability and non-viability? The third semester is that line. That line has now been crossed. I'm not sure if this is constitutional or not, but it does appear that tri-semester abortion does go against the 1973 Supreme Court decision. Now, let's see what President Trump actually said about Roe v. Wade. In an interview with Maria Bartiromo, I apologize if I pronounced her name incorrectly, he did not clearly state that he was going to overturn Roe v. Wade. President Trump stated that he was advised against asking nominees how they would vote on Roe v. Wade, and he would probably not ask them. This to me says that he won't. Probably not is the opposite of probably will. The first is negative, the latter is positive. I think the left often hears what they want to hear and have a filter when it comes to actual facts. Unfortunately, they suffer from cognitive dissonance, avoiding reality in the goal of pursuing their narcissist agendas.
Are you going to ask your nominees beforehand how they might vote on Roe versus Wade?
Well, that's a big one, and probably not. They're all saying, don't do that, you don't do that, you shouldn't do that, but I'm putting conservative people on, and I'm very proud of Neil Gorsuch. He has been outstanding. His opinions are, is so well written, so brilliant. And I'm going to try and do something like that, but I don't think I'm going to be so specific in the questions I'll be answering. And I'm actually told that I shouldn't be.
Because on the campaign trail, you said you would leave it to the states.
Well, maybe someday it will be to the states. You never know how that's going to turn out. That's a very complex question. The Roe v. Wade is probably the one that people are talking about in terms of having an effect. But we'll see what happens. But it could very well end up with states at some point.
I support this act. It's crucial that we protect a woman's right to choose, particularly at this moment in history where women's rights are under attack.
We're saying that here in New York, women's health matters. We're saying here in New York, women's lives matter. We're saying here in New York, women's decisions matter.
A woman's right to choose. Women have rights. They have equal rights. Women can make their own choices. Nobody's stopping them. I would also like to see evidence of women's rights that are under attack. These manipulative psychopaths are really being disingenuous. It appears that the goal here is to promote abortion and give every woman access to it, whether it's required or not. Women's health and women's lives matter. Of course they do. That's stating the obvious. But you're saying here that other lives don't matter, especially babies' lives. Women's decisions matter. Again, that's stating the obvious. However, is the woman's decision to abort her unborn baby a sane and rational decision? I think not. I also think that this abortion trend setting that is being forced upon women is vicious, evil, and is possibly the end of humanity. I didn't know that we, as compassionate humans, had fallen so far into the pits of hell. Following on from the New York abortion bill, signed into law by Andrew Cuomo, Virginia Democrat delegate Kathy Tran has proposed a new abortion bill that will allow babies to be aborted up to dilation, practically at birth. Is this pro-choice or pro-death? Let's see what she has to say.
Delegate Tran.
Yes, sir.
How late in a pregnancy would your bill apply if a physician was simply willing to certify that the continuation of the pregnancy would impair the mental health of the woman? How late are we talking about?
Well, so the suggestion that we've made in the bill is to say it's in the third trimester and at the, with the certification of the physician. So
how late in the third trimester would you be able to do that?
It's very unfortunate that our physicians, witnesses, were not able to attend today to speak specifically.
No, I'm
to
talking
that.
about your bill. How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
Or physical health.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the mental health.
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So, where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs that she is about to give a birth, would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would make.
I understand that. I'm asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
I really don't know how women think anymore. They used to be called the fairest sex, the loving, compassionate, non-aggressive humans, the mothers and the carers. The natural instinct of a woman is to protect, love, and care for her children. There is a brief moment where Ms. Tran not only finds it difficult to answer a specific question, but actually shows compassion, a little remorse, an ounce of humanity. That brief moment is when she closed her eyes. I almost thought she was going to cry. A split second later, she was back in the zone, standing by her proposed bill, celebrating the snuffing out of human life. After that shocking revelation from Delegate Kathy Tran, Governor of Virginia Ralph Northam, who is also a physician, goes on air to try and diffuse the situation. I somehow think he made the situation worse during his radio interview. Let's see what he had to say.
No exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you first thing I would say is this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
Wow, shocking. Governor Ralph Northam stated in this interview the following: "If a mother was in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered." Now this is very important what he says here. He says infant, meaning a live baby outside the mother's womb. He goes on to say the infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So, the baby is fed and watered until the mother decides what to do. I can only surmise that the baby will be left to die if the mother decides she wants to go ahead with the abortion. This really is a sad day for humanity. Why aren't these mothers offered adoption as an alternative to death? I can imagine there are millions of people watching this news, people that can't have babies for one reason or another, that are crying with despair and disbelief. Next up is an interview with Tucker Carlson and Monica Klein. She's the Democratic shill that's trying to clear up the fallout created by Delegate Kathy Tran and Governor Ralph Northam. As you watch the clip, you will see as Mr. Carlson merely tries to ask Ms. Klein her opinion about what Mr. Northam had said. Here you will see Ms. Klein deliberately avoid answering the question by building a straw man argument about Roe v. Wade and attacking this false argument. This is a leftist tactic that's used to avoid answering questions, especially when the answer would dig them deeper into the mire. Mr. Carlson knows exactly what game she is playing, doesn't rise to her bait, remains calm, and politely ends the interview.
Monica Klein is a founding partner at Seneca Strategies. She joins us today. Monica, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah.
I'm sure you describe yourself as pro-choice. I bet a lot of people watching right now think of themselves as pro-choice. So I'm not attacking you for that. But I wonder what you think of what Dr. Northam, the governor of Virginia, just said, that when a child, he described the child as an infant, is born, there's a point where the mother and the physician can decide whether to kill the infant or not. What do you think of that?
Look, Tucker, I understand that you want to go back to a time where Roe v. Wade was illegal, where women were having back alley abortions, and they were using coat hangers to have abortions, which is actually what's barbaric.
I'm giving you time to make a real argument. I'm not arguing for the repeal of Roe v. Wade. I'm a very straightforward person.
That is what you're essentially saying.
Actually, no, that's not what I'm arguing. And please don't be tiresome. The governor of Virginia, who's a rising star in the Democratic Party, just said this. There's pending legislation that mirrors it, and I'm asking you what you think of it. That's it. I'm not here to debate Roe v. Wade.
I think that right now, reproductive health care is under attack by the Republican Party. 72% of Americans support the right to choose, and yet we have Trump and we have sexual predator Kavanaugh trying to repeal Roe v. Wade and trying to take away our control over our own bodies. This isn't about babies. This isn't about health care. This is about you attempting to control women's bodies.
Okay, please don't be a robot. Monica, you're smarter than that. This is the governor of Virginia just saying this. I just want to know what you think of it. Is that okay? Does that bother you? It's a sincere question. This just happened.
Okay, it bothers me that you are attempting to control women's bodies.
That's what you're doing.
You are. The Republican Party right now is working overtime to repeal Roe v. Wade and to take away choice in every single state.
I wonder if you think you're convincing anybody, or if your unwillingness to address what just happened today on tape that we just played is a sign that you can't defend this. And if you can't defend it, I wonder why that is. Have you paused to ask yourself, as an American, as a person, what do I think of that?
As a woman, what do I think of it? Have you asked yourself why you spend so much time talking about this rather than thinking about why your party is trying to repeal Roe v. Wade and control women's bodies? Right now, there are 7 states where there's only 1 abortion clinic, okay? There are 4 states with trigger bans where we would, if Roe v. Wade is repealed, women cannot get reproductive health care. This is about a woman's right to choose, and you as a man should not have a single say in that.
Wow. Do you think that you're making a case that most people agree with, that it's okay to abort a child in the 3rd trimester?
Tucker, you can keep trying to put words in my mouth and keep trying to say that the Democratic Party is hurting children. But your party is the one that is tearing families apart at the border and allowing children to die in federal custody. So whose party is actually harming children?
Wow. Let me just ask you one quick question. I mean, this is obviously a pointless conversation. And I think less of you after, I have to say.
I already think less of you, so don't.
It's an honest question. Have you thought about it? Do you have a real answer to what the governor of Virginia said, or are you going to throw yet another talking point at me? I mean, have you actually thought about it? Will you answer that question at all?
I have thought about it, and I am telling you that your party is attempting to change the conversation about Roe v. Wade and take control over women's bodies. I'm sorry that as a man, what you're focused on is controlling women's bodies, but we will not allow you to do that.
This is a child who's been born. This is not a woman's body. This is an independent person.
It just confuses me why you pretend that you have concerns over children when you're completely fine with ICE tearing families apart and children dying in federal custody.
Monica, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you like it and you'd like to see more, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you receive notifications. Also, share if you wish. This has been Chris Just for Blue Prison.